Hey, welcome to some more random thoughts in random places. Now, I've just come back from my journeys, from a little shopping, as you may see in a little short video I put up. Um, do go check that out because that's regarding having to go out in relatively crowded spaces like supermarkets and trying to find a way if there is a time where you can have a more quiet moment in which to quickly navigate what you've got to do, get what you've got to get, and make a quick exit out. For those people who have those things going on with them, like myself, which is slightly little panic attacks here and there, I might get, but I just make sure I navigate in a way that just brings that anxiety down to a little bit lower. So I left a question if whether you struggle with that too. So if you want to leave some comments, share some antidotes. How do you deal with that? How do you navigate your time when you know you've got to go to a place that kind of gives you anxiety that you'd rather not have, but it's something you know you need to go and do? Of course, I think one of the first answers that will come to mind is, why don't you shop online? I do, but I'm old school. I have to say, I like to have to, to go out, and I I focus more on that because that helps me find the balance. Because I don't want to just stay in and be a hermit. I'm just a bit more particular about how I interact and who I interact with. I think over time, you just become more experienced at doing that. Um, so it's not about trying to stay away. It's just trying to, make sure I engage on the levels and the vibrations that I'm looking to do so. But what I wanted to get into was, as I mentioned in one of my other videos, was how it is for men. I would say, of all ages, because we've all got something that we feel from the generation that we were born in. But mainly for 27 to 35, that age bracket. And also for the females. And obviously, one of the things that comes to mind clearly is obviously this I'm a toxic, strong female agenda thing, narrative that I don't know how many females have just gone along with that because you're so impressionable at a young age. You're taking everything in, and if you haven't got people by you navigating you through that, telling you what is and what isn't, you might just go fully along with it and for decades and come out afterwards realizing, oh my God, where have I been? So it's that age group that I find that's having the most difficulty. So what can we do about that? Because we already know that this is happening, where young men and young females are struggling to communicate on the most basic of levels. And obviously hearing in schools, doing some research there, finding that kids don't even know basic literature, just basic grammar, and they're not able to communicate in sort of person with each other. They get sweaty, panic attacks, they become agitated, they feel out of place, and they'd rather just go back to the communicating over the phone. So it's extraordinary how things have changed since my time, when you wanted to see each other, it was about going out to meet each other, and it was fabulous. You can't beat it. And so it leads me to the agenda of this toxic female and how it's impacting men on such a large scale in every part of their being. It's making them want to shut down, and it's highly dangerous where this is going. So what can we do? Most people would think about prevention. So rather than go over the same debates, that you can find all over the place. We already know it's happening, but what can we do about it? Well, prevention. And even then it's still risky because you have to still interact. There's no two buts about it. Depending on what you know you want in your life as a man, we're talking for men right now, you already know the things that you're gonna have to do in order to get the things that you would like. And that, from what I'm told, because I have two sons, it's becoming even more narrower in which to find the criteria by a woman's standards these days, these delusional standards. And at the same time, funny enough, contradicting themselves, because they're also saying that they can do it without a man. Well, in that case, why would you be going on about how much figures he earns and what he's supposed to have in order to just give to you? So it's a kind of, so this is what leads me to believe is, while I don't think there's anything I can say to women of that age bracket, or with the women that are thinking like that they would even listen to, because I'm already taking heed from witnessing the fact that they don't even listen to the men. And that's what they're saying is the very thing they want, but they're doing a really bad job. They're failing dramatically at trying to catch his eye and to see her in the way that she wants. And for that, you've got to be looking at yourself to make sure that you have those qualities, so he can say, yeah, lovely. But if you don't, you can't just make that the man's fault. And that's what's happening here, is that these young women are blaming these men for their lack of humility, their lack of choice. You made wrong choices, you made bad choices, and here you are now stuck in a bit of a muddle. I will tell you, yeah, time's ticking, because in regards to what you're saying you want, these things take patience. They take integrity. They take you wanting to establish this relationship. It takes correspondence. You don't seem to want to do those things. You want to, I don't know, just sit there, hang there, and make all these demands. And so while it would appear that you're not really listening, I will try and give the men out there as much advice as I can from a woman. Speaking from a woman, I will tell you that, like in anything, you will need to use your discernment. You will need to really trust your instincts. And if anything, your logic. Yeah. Use that. Use all of the attributes that the Most High, the universe, gave you to help you determine, because you never bring your emotions into it, and that's always a good thing. So use that. Use that. Use your discernment. And don't be afraid of being alone, because alone and lonely are two very different things. And until you become lonely, that's a sign of knowing that you're ready, because now you're ready to be with someone, because you trust your male instincts. Okay, you trust your logic and your discernment. You know when to bring the emotion in and when to keep it at bay. Use those gifts. And that teaches you when you're ready to leave. That's telling you now, because you're feeling lonely. But until that feeling, don't ever fear being alone, because that's just time for you to do you and to take a good, nice breather before you enter into something that's really highly emotional. It's interaction with another whole human being. So it becomes no longer just thinking of yourself, it's thinking of others, that person in question, that person that's now the one that you've chosen, So we know that everything is a risk. And given the climate today, it's not looking good. And so you have to be very sure of yourself that it will all turn out if you don't allow the fears and whatever you hear out there. Don't just go with it because it means you've got this and that then. Because if you try to fake a family, it will fall apart. And it won't ever be what you know it should have been. And you don't ever want to sort of lose that for any other cheap imitation. You don't. So for all of you young men, when you can feel it's wrong, it doesn't matter how gorgeous she is, truly. You know it inside. That's why it's so hard to let her go. Do it. Because once you've done that, the power that you get inside. So the next time you're ever faced with that, it will be a bit more of a walk in the park. You'll be like, yeah, cool, love. The out shell looks all very lovely, the presentation, but to get to know someone, you really have to be spending time with them. And to spend time with them, you really want to make sure you've kind of a good judge of character, but don't have a hard time on yourself if you're not. Okay, because we do learn from experiences, and sometimes you've got to go there to know there, you know? So don't you be afraid, okay? And if any of you have been lucky enough to be brought up with those really good, wonderful, strong mothers with good morals and, you know, real good integrity and things like that, ask her. And if you ever need to know something, you know, something important, because you're going to be making important choices which are going to be pinnacle moments to your life, and those choices are going to have consequences, always seek out a lady that wants to see you progress, and she will tell you the truths of women. She will, because otherwise it's just cruelty. Why wouldn't you want to see a man navigate his way beautifully through life if you know you can help with that? So I always say, seek out a lady that has no bias, no agenda. You know, if you can find someone, if it's in some sort of workplace, I find most of the time it will end up being a complete stranger. Yeah, you'll just click. You'll talk to each other, and you haven't got a slightest clue why you're so engaged with one another, but you are, and you're having this discussion, and then you've come away feeling so much better, and you've learned something, and now that can help you on your way. So I think it's all about prevention. You've got to make sure that you think more with your head and your heart, and not with the third muscle, you know. Don't, because he will try and trick you, you know. I've learned that from men, you know, men, counselors and psychologists who will tell you these things because they want us to progress. They want us to be able to interact at our most highest. And we are not right now. It's at the lowest. And that's really upsetting to see. And it's upsetting to see men describing and feeling the way they do and just wanting to wholeheartedly give up. It's not. It's bad enough being out there in the big wide society. When these men come home, what they're hoping for is the complete opposite, you know, because they've had a battering the minute they left the door, the minute they left the house. And so it'd be nice to come back, you know, to someone that's soft and gentle. Everything that he hasn't been able to have or do, he gets to have when he comes home, because that's one of the beautiful skills that women have. It's one of the beautiful gifts we were born with, is to have that gentleness, that softness, that make a house a home, you know. And the gift that the man, he will be out there looking to protect you on every level. I mean, you couldn't even stop him. That's the beauty in men, is he wants that. He lives for that. But in order for it to thrive beautifully and for him to really fall into that motion, just like women say about, well, it's the trust. I need a man that I know I can be feminine with, who's not going to try and use his aggression against me. Absolutely. And so a man will give all of that if he knows it's appreciated. If he knows that when he gets up at 4 or 5 in the morning and you're at home, if he knows that you wholeheartedly love him for that, and he can see that and he can feel that, there's not a I've got goosebumps already, you see, because there's nothing that his spirit soul entity wouldn't do to keep you safe. And this younger generation, you're killing that. And that it's hard. It's hard to see, because it's the very art of you. It's the very core of you. Man, woman. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. See? Look at that. There you go. Isn't that lovely? And then you can also be your individual selves, but look how you come together when you be as man and she be's as woman. It's gorgeous. Look, there's every single way. The compatibility, because of the differences. Yeah. Because all you're going to get now is, because you've got this pushing to be that which we are not. And what's that? Look, it's not doing anything, is it? It's just going against each other. This is all beautiful. This is lovely. This flows. Look at the interaction. And all those things, those differences are what you're killing. And what you youngsters need to ask yourself is why? Why would they want your generation to kill something that is nature, born already before that? They've got no right. It's your power. This is you before you ever came across them. And now you've got them giving you an agenda of this is how you should think and feel. My goodness. So you've got to use discernment, my young man. You have to, okay? And try to do your best to discern from when, excuse me, hold on a minute. You try and discern from when a woman is telling you things because she really wants to help you. Even just as friendships. Study, right? Observe how women are getting on. Observe in the eyes. It's more body language. Observe the whole persona and see, feel if this is a woman that's genuine or if this is a girl that's just trying to get whatever she wants. That's what you have to start with now, my loves, because you know it's out there. So all it is now is prevention, learning as much as you can, but as much about yourself as you do them. But I would say observe, my darlings. For all you young men that have spoken about the very toxic behaviors that you've had to deal with, that have really had fundamental effects on your life, even your families, it goes that deep. It's not funny. It is absolutely not funny. But you see these girls just ranting and raving around. So I say to myself, how much of it is propaganda and how much of it is true? Have I witnessed anyone or know of anyone that's had these altercations? Well, one of them is my oldest son. And a few people that have, because they see what I do on my channels, they've spoken about the horrible scenarios and the lying and how society is blatantly catered for those lies, almost, where he hasn't put a finger on her, but yet charges are being thrown at him. You don't understand that this is now going to be things on his life that wouldn't have been there before. Criminal records for what? Abuse? And when you haven't done that? I don't think these young girls are, or the girls that think like this, are understanding the devastation and the damage that they're doing. I don't know if they even care. I ask myself how much of it is the majority to a minority. Because I'm a strong believer that there are good men out there and there are good women out there. But in the chaos, we are missing each other, And through experiences, you come full circle and hopefully we will get together. And because it seems to me like always the good people get the toxic one. And the toxic ones never get each other, if you know what I mean. To maybe snap them out of that behaviour, maybe a taste of their own medicine sort of thing. That, we've all been hurt. And the way is to go internal. You just can't hurt others. You can't. And then if you are hurting others for absolutely no reason, because it's a trend, or you're just growing up believing that because you don't have parents that are educating you and telling you, well, no, don't read too much into that, my dear. Listen, if you've got parents that have been together for like 30, 40 years, speak to them, because your generation, you're not going to make that. If all of this is as true as they're saying, I think when you get to the age of 40, that's when I think some of them might start to worry about how far they've gone chasing that narrative or that trend, not appreciating that they weren't into any of it. It was just your hormones. You let it suck you in. It's not who you are at all. And now you're having to learn at 40 who you actually are. And you might be a woman that finds yourself single, no children, your emotions and feelings towards everything has changed. Now you're looking for family, you're looking for depth, you're looking for clarity, and you're looking for substance, and it's no longer existing in a world that is taught, look, be more ruthless, be more selfish. How are you going to find this loving family that you speak of if you don't practice that yourself? So for the young, the men out there, from what age you are, who have had nothing but that toxic, selfish, greedy, entitled, won't take any accountability or responsibility for themselves. If you're aware of the signs and you know what type of woman that is, you know to steer away. And don't take any less than what you know you deserve, which is such a big thing in women. Don't stand for any less, you know. Women would tell you all day long that they won't tolerate that. Neither should you. Neither should you. I told both my sons, abuse is abuse. And if you find that your girlfriend or your spouse or your wife is emanating signs of that, you do not tolerate that at all. At all. You have a chance to work things through, and if that's not happening, then you remove yourself, young sir. That's what you do. You remove yourself. You don't stand for it. You know, and challenge a woman with her double standards. You must. And see what she's got to say. And I can guarantee you she won't have a valid answer for it, because she's chatting absolute rubbish. I mean, it's almost like you're using your womanly senses and attributes to see if a man's stupid, and pushing it far enough to see what you can get out of him, which is not a tactic to be proud of. It's not a skill. It's being devious. And it says something about your predisposition, which is what I would say to the ladies that behave like this. You need to look into and change that, because the very things that you're saying you want, you will never get because of the way you're behaving and failing to see that that's how you're behaving. So you can't expect these men who, when they are ready to now look for a family, look to, for someone to start a family with, well, everybody wants to have their own children. So if there's that on the cards, he's going to look for that first before he looks for a lady that's coming up for 40, has more than one child, not really got much going on for herself, and is filled with demands in her profile when she says she's seeking a loving man. Well, if you're not a loving woman, no. Because that's what women are. We should be. We were loving, very, very, very loving creatures. So much so a man could count on it. He doesn't know now. He doesn't know. It's all gone. It's like, what, you know, what are a woman's, what are a woman's aspirations now? What, to just try and become a man? Or think you can imitate a man as well? Well, that means you're disregarding what it means to be a woman. It means what you're saying is you're not thankful, which is terrible. Women give life. Yeah, we have another human being growing inside of us, and you're showing almost like you hate that, like you don't want to even, whether you go and have children or not. Yes, it's cool, but the fact that you don't seem to be linked or eternally linked. Like you don't understand that. Like you're trying to grow away from that. It's the essence of being a woman. And so if you don't even want to acknowledge the essence of femininity, how can you even possibly imagine to have a wonderful masculine man gravitate himself naturally towards you and look at you like that's everything I've ever wanted. I can feel her spirit. I can feel her soul. I can sense, I know that she's good and she's true, and she's genuine. Men really don't want much, you know. It's only women that have got these ridiculous lists that was as long as a novel. You know, it's ridiculous. I can relate to a man when simply all I would like is if I really don't give a toss what he's earning. When a man puts in a good day's work, just like I put in a good day's work, because what else can I really do apart from all my creative things that I do outside? But other than that, I do my part. Ugh. And he does his. And so why should he be any less? Unless it's because what? That's what men do because they're men. And again, that means women, you're just catching yourself out. You're just catching yourself out, right? Because, yeah, he's a man and you're a woman. So when it suits you, he should be doing the manly things. And then on other times, it's, oh, well, you're not a man. I don't need you. You can't do that. You can't do that. It doesn't grow you. It doesn't evolve you. And when you say that, why would a man come towards you? Because he's totally confused. He's totally confused now. What's he going to say? How's he even supposed to try and make a choice? You don't know what you are anymore. He knows what he wants, but you don't seem to possess it anymore because you're too busy trying to be a brute, which is, it's not how men are anyway. There's nothing, I don't know why you're trying to do it. There's wonderful things in feminine strength, and there's wonderful things in masculine strength. Hence why men and women have both, because it gives you the ability to be able to understand masculine and feminine strength and when they should be used. And when, as a strong woman, all I can say to men out there is, a true woman, a real woman, such as myself, because the hardship and the traumas and the strength that I've had to pull out makes me appreciate a man even more. This is what those young girls don't get. This is what they don't understand. This is how you're supposed to feel. Because it shows me just how much that is needed and how beautiful that is in men, to be that natural protector. And when he's in a troublesome position, you suddenly become the protector and you damn well help him. And it goes down. So we're all protectors in a way, but of each other. That's how it's supposed to be. But the man, he wants first. He protects first because that's born in him. That's born in him. And when you take that away from him, you give him nothing to really live for. Because all he wants to do is know he's loved when he's gone out and does what he knows he would rather do than see you do it. That's all he wants, you see. And then a woman comes with, oh, you better be this, you better be that. I think maybe you're taking a man for granted because he doesn't really require much. He's not high maintenance. Why do you think that's about women? High maintenance is synonymously linked to women for a reason. It's the feminine in us. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's good. I'd love nothing more to be than be submissive. I'd be nice. But, I have to be smart and intelligent as well. I have to make sure that I don't make the previous mistake I made with my husband back then. I've learned. And I have to make sure that I give my time to the men that truly deserve it, instead of always just elbowing them out because they don't seem to be the ones with the high money. Stuff the money. If you're making your own money and getting by, why would you need to be worried about what he's got? All you need to care about is that he doesn't put his hands on you in any way but other than to protect you. Okay? And when you can see that in him, don't abuse that. Don't do that, because mate, that's really, it's just so wrong. Okay? When you see a man that's gentle like that, it's because he's putting his strength where he masculinely should put them, which is as a protector. He never once said, you can put your hands on me, because it would be seen as a violation in society if I was to put my hands on you. So in which case now that means you can do whatever you want to me and I have to just take it. No, ladies, because I do recall, when I was just maybe like a young kid, if that. But when I grew up into like a teenager, I learned of the Women's Rights Acts and all that. So you want to play all that and then behave like this. It's almost like you don't appreciate the women that went through that for you. You've turned it all upside down and you've abused it. And you're helping break good men, or men that haven't even had a chance to even live. You've already broken them and made them want to just go back and live in a hole. And it's just cruel. It's very, very cruel. So I urge the young ladies and ladies just in general that behave like that, and unlearn what you've learned, please, for your own sake, truly. You know, if you're someone that can't see it for the man's perspective, and how you affect him affects you on the whole as a family unit, if you can't see that, at least start from a selfish perspective, as in, what will you gain out of this if you break the very person you say you want to provide for you? Because you are asking to be provided for. There's no two buts about that. You are. And you're in this argument of how you're not is just a ridiculous debate that you know you've already lost. So stop that, because it's hideous and you don't give women a good name, you know. And I'm coming up for what? I'll be 60 in 8 years. Come on, ladies. I don't want something to be proud of, something to look up to and say, yeah, look, women have really held their own, you know. It's a mad, chaotic world, okay? And it's mainly the men that take the brunt of that. Okay, they do. And we're supposed to be there to soothe that. Okay, that's our skills, to create. When we was at home, we could do so much that the man couldn't. We were free. That's what you don't understand. We were actually free. And then they fed it to you that, oh, why don't you go out and be what a man does and work? No, they just made more money out of us now. You see, they wouldn't have been making half as much if it was just men working, but they found a way to get women to think that work was good. And now we don't raise our kids. Society raises them. Full circle back, hence the importance of a man. You see, there's no getting out of it. And instead of trying to take away each other's attributes and say, I can do it better than you, we should be growing in our own, you see. And it's such a shame for you ladies to waste nearly 20 years of your life coming full effect around to knowing what I already know, you know. And you don't want to kill those things off in each other. You really don't. You want to embrace them. But it seems like it's so far gone now that you wouldn't even know where to start, which is quite dangerous. So what I say to you young men, this has gone on for quite a while. What I've say to you young men is, if you've had any experience, you will already know the signs. So heed them. Because some of you may be learning your lessons because you knew, but you didn't listen to yourself. And you kind of went there. Hey, listen, we've all done it. Don't worry yourself, okay? Now you know. And also what that tells you is, if you settle for a lady that does that, then you're not valuing yourself, sweetheart. And that's okay. You just need to go away, do a little bit more work. That's all right. But what's good is that you don't accept that kind of person in your life. So you've already made headway already, okay? There's no need to feel desperate. Trust me, it'll be okay, my loves. What's for you will be for you. So work on yourselves. Don't let those people in. Don't let those females in. And just take your time. Okay? Take your time. Do you, but with a good heart. Yeah, don't turn selfish or anything, or don't turn horrible, and certainly don't turn like they, because it's just inner work that these females have got to do. That's all, you know. And until they can do that, you mustn't let them in. And so you do you keep to the standards. And if, like you said, with anything, when a girl wants to know how she should be treated by a man, she will go to her father if she's lucky enough. So I say, take heed from your parents. You know, if you've been one of those people that's kind of shunned your parents and didn't think they had anything to teach you, please listen to them. And if you're not, well, then you'll be like me. You will train your intuition even more. Listen to your intuition, because he or she does speak to you. But sometimes we write it off as if to say, oh, you're mad, you're crazy, you're talking to yourself. Well, yeah, that's the idea. You're talking to someone, you. So no, you're not crazy. You just need to listen. Just listen to that, do the discernment, and steer clear. And that's really, I think, the best thing to do is to move forward is just with prevention. Because I could sit here and go on about the toxic female and all the things that they're doing to you, but you already know that. in a way I couldn't. I know the vice versa way. But for a man to have those kind of behaviors of women acting really unaccordingly, screaming, temper tantrums, causing, issues, using a lot of humiliation as well, testing your patience, which is, I can't, that is so dangerous. So I really advise you ladies not to do that, because it's what you're trying to say there is men don't have feelings, but then they do, and then when they use them in a way where it's got away with them, you then use that against them. How dare you? You must take responsibility for your behaviors in the first place, to antagonize someone that deeply. Because remember, men are more patient. You see, the man knows what you're trying to do. He's not stupid, but even he has his limits, and you take it there. And I think that is the most extremely dangerous thing you can ever do. And if any of you young men out there, you hear this video and you want to play this to one of your female counterparts who's or somebody, you tell them, because this is coming from a woman's mouth. Don't take it. Don't take it, because women never behave like that. Okay? Granted, yes, it was more that the men were treating us badly, and it seems like we've gone again. We're just missing each other, But what we don't want is for women now to get extreme and start abusing men, because then it's going to get extreme again, and then it's going to get extreme again, and we're not going to get out of that rut, are we? It's not going to happen. So what we have to do is we simply cannot entertain that behavior anymore. So like what we do, it takes two to tango. So what you do is you completely ignore them. You ignore that kind of behavior. You ignore those demands, and you ignore those tantrums, and you certainly, men, need to ignore that body. Just ignore it. Think of all of the, if it helps, think of all of the downsides to the BBL and the fake boobs. All of that is going to turn bad as they get older, and it will sag. And unless they keep that up, which is still highly dangerous, it's going to be a mess. Okay, so you're not really missing out at all, because most of the generation in your generation have sort of cheated their way to these bodies. And it will all collapse, because that's what happens when you don't do things in the right journey, when you don't take the proper journey, when you try to cut corners. Yeah, you're going to get the cheapo version at the end, So I just say to you, don't worry, you're not missing out. Scarcity. If you be patient, focus on yourself, that woman will be presented to you as you will be presented to her. And that is how we will do this. We will flush it out by using our discernment even more, by trusting in your experiences and your instincts, okay, by being disciplined with yourself. Yes, it's hard sometimes going without a bit of physical love. However, there are things in you that are more important that you must maintain, okay? Because, if you keep letting people use you, that's what you'll always get. And for some reason, you'll just have this no respect sort of thing, and you'll be stuck with that. So what you've got to do is you've got to stay on your grounds, okay? Whatever you do, don't turn into women and get on your high horse, But just be a gentleman, just be honourable, have your grace, and don't lose it. Don't go to her level. Just walk right off. Don't even get into the argument. This is what I'm saying. Do not get into it. Just walk. That will drive her mad. She won't like that, because what they want you is a tool to play with. So they can keep playing on the outskirts, avoiding where they know they really need to go, which is internal. They need to go internal. So, yeah, I think prevention. If I have any more tips and advice that I can give you in trying to navigate your way around those kind of women, because granted, even from people that my son's friends and I've spoken to, they found it seriously difficult. Very, very difficult, even to go up to a girl and be a gentleman. They think the girl's so high on herself, she thinks it's a setup. And it was actually genuine that, listen, you dropped your purse, love. I'm just trying to let you know. And they've turned around and given it the real large one and been quite cruel. And over time, you know, my son's not a stupid boy. He's a very open-minded, emotionally intuitive young man. And he knows how to interact. And he would completely say you couldn't even speak to the girl. You couldn't. She's already made up her mind that you're a deadbeat. You're a sex fiend. You're whatever. You're trying to get into her knickers. You're trying to date her. I've already got a man, and it's like, wow, easy, love. I was just literally asking that or this, or I was just being genuine. And that was the time when I realized that my son was saying that he was finding it more difficult to be a genuine person because all of the people he was around were disingenuous. And so he was seen as the outcast. And he was seen as the one that was being a creep. And it was like, nah. And then it went to the fashion of so many young people were saying, oh, I can't cope with a decent man. I need someone who's a bit rough or treats me rough. And it's like, wow, it was then I knew that we were heading into trouble. Because when you're asking for that, because good guys are supposedly boring, where did you get where did you get that? I mean, did it really come from someone who's intelligent, someone that you knew you could rely on their words when they speak? Who told you that? It's because it's just so untrue. It's so untrue. So what I say to you guys is keep being a good man. Okay? Because I've remained a good woman no matter what. And it hasn't hurt me. It won't hurt you. It won't hurt you. You're still going to be you. You're still going to have what you got. Okay? And because when you really want a family, you want it to be that family. And so don't ever take any less than that. You'd be right. It can't be easy as a man, knowing that taking on someone else's children. But there are men that do that. There are men that have done that. And there are good men out there that still would do that because they love that woman so much. They are happy to do that, even if it means that they might not even bear any children of their own. That's how some men roll. They'll do that. But you mustn't allow the women to take advantage of that, okay? Because they see that you are prepared to. Don't, because that says so much about you. It does. Very giving, which is a great sign of love, but you mustn't allow them to tear you apart, so there's nothing of you, because that's just, what kind of human being does that, my darlings? So it's been a long one. I hope it's been of some use, and yeah, drop a like and a comment and subscribe. And as I said, if there's anything that you think I could help you with any questions that you've got, and I'll answer them honestly and truthfully as a woman. What you can expect a woman to be doing, okay, if she's genuinely into you. I'll tell you the things that you can expect. You already know internally, okay? And she's out there. That's what I can say. That's all I can say to you, my darlings, is she's out there. So until that time, do you. And as always, have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend. And your love.